Welcome back to another edition of Dave Smith Unleashed. And first of all, big ups, big thanks. And we couldn't do it without you. MTS Transportation's our great sponsor. So for all your freight, shipping, and trucking needs, there's nobody else to call but MTS Transportations. And if not for them, we wouldn't have a Dave Smith Unleashed, and you wouldn't be able to hear this greatness and this riveting show. And big thanks to all of you as well. Everybody who follows us on the YouTube page on Dave Smith Unleashed, who likes, who shares, who follows, who comments, who subscribes. That's what it's all about. So thanks to all of our subscribers as we continue to make this, hopefully, a monster in the sports broadcast and, sometimes non-sports industry. Well. Lakers have their season opener tonight against the Golden State Warriors. And I know we could talk about the game, we could talk about the stats and everything maybe tomorrow or another day. But what I wanted to get to right now is the fall of interest in the National Basketball Association, and does anybody really care anymore? When you have a league that tells the people who are paying their bills, that tells the people who watch the games and the big fans out there, that 75% of the regular season doesn't matter. We don't care about you, but keep giving us your money. Keep paying for those season tickets. Keep buying all the games on television and buy the NBA package. Why would we do that when you don't care about us, National Basketball Association? When you don't care about us, Adam Silver, arguably the worst commissioner, not only in the NBA, he might be the worst commissioner in the history of professional sports. He's also a suck-up kiss-ass, the way he cozies up to the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. And again, it is absolutely shameful the way the NBA continues to do business with the CCP. Uyghurs are still being rounded up and taken to concentration camps in northwest China. They're still being tortured. They're still being killed. It's still slave labor. They're still forced to make products for the NBA players' shoes and the NBA gear and the NBA hats and the stuff that we all buy. And meanwhile, the Uyghur women are getting raped nightly in their concentration camp cells. The men are being forced into slave labor, getting paid next to nothing, and they're also being executed on a daily basis. And yet, Adam Silver and the NBA owners and the networks think, and particularly LeBron James, nothing wrong with that. Yeah. LeBron's got nothing to say about doing business and stuffing his pockets with blood money from CCP slave labor and genocide. But when it comes to Donald Trump, when it comes to American civil rights, he thinks he's a civil rights warrior. He thinks he's a social justice warrior, a champion of civil rights. He cares about people of color, unless they're Uyghur Muslims in northwest China. Those people of color he doesn't care about. And LeBron and Adam Silver and the professional sports leagues and the National Basketball Association and the owners and the broadcasters, they're social justice warriors. Yeah, they're human rights champions unless it costs them a dime. Yeah, when that happens, the hell with them. They're perfectly content with being complete hypocrites and stuffing their pockets with Chinese Communist Party slave labor blood money. LeBron, you hear me? Such hypocrisy. But I wanted to talk about LeBron as well with the Lakers season opener tonight. It's really strange what's going on, isn't it? LeBron going on 41 years old. Still one of the great players in the NBA. In my opinion, he's still a top 10 player in the National Basketball Association. He averaged, 26, 8, and 8 last year. Shot over 50% from the floor and I think 36, 37% from three. He's still a great player, even at 41. And credit to him, he spends about $1 million every offseason getting his body in shape, which is why he can still play at an effective level at 41 years old. But this sciatica thing, he had a little bit of sciatica. They said it was in his buttocks. And, I know the feeling. I have 2 herniated discs in my back. And when the sciatica happens, like you get pain running up and down your leg. And it's the funniest damn thing. I can be in the fetal position in bed, crying out in pain. And the next day, it'll be perfectly fine when the disc moves back in. Or sometimes it takes a month. You never know. But I've gotten really good at doing my exercises, and I can feel it when it's kind of coming on, and I do my exercises, and I can stretch, and I'm pretty good at getting the disc back in place now. No, of course, I'm not playing an NBA basketball game. That's a different story with the pounding they take. But it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? if maybe LeBron's played his last game with the Lakers? They didn't give him the contract extension he wanted in the offseason, which to me spoke volumes. He wanted that extension. The organization didn't give it to him. And now that Jeannie Buss isn't the owner anymore, who loves LeBron, we'll see what happens. Could this be that LeBron isn't really as injured as he's letting on with this? They're saying November 18th is when he's going to be back. How the hell do you know that? How the hell do you know it's going to be November 18th if it's a sciatica issue? You never know. He could be back tomorrow. He could be out for the year. November 18th, that sounds awfully suspicious to me that they're pinpointing November 18th when he's got a supposed sciatica condition. Now, you want to know my opinion? I think LeBron's upset he didn't get his extension. I think maybe he pushed privately in the offseason to move on, maybe go to a different team, and the Lakers couldn't make a deal. Maybe he's sending this as a message here. Hey, you know what? You're not going to give me my extension? Okay. I'll come up with some sciatica. Now, not to compare him to Shaq, who was lazy and it didn't kill him to lose during his career. Remember Shaq, the My Time Company timeline? There was one year. Shaq was extremely upset that he didn't get his 3-year contract extension from Dr. Buss. He wanted $3 and $90, which was absurd since he was in his early 30s and he was fat and he was on the downside. So then after the 2004 season, when they lost to Detroit in 5 games in the finals, all of a sudden he does an interview with a Chicago writer. He didn't get his extension. He's upset. And he said, I'm going to need surgery on my knee. But why would I ruin my summer and get surgery now? I'll do it when the season starts on company time, not my time. It was one of the most selfish, vile things I've ever heard a professional athlete say as far as sticking it to the owner who'd made you a multimillionaire and sticking it to Lakers fans. Now, I'm not saying this is what LeBron is doing. I'm just speculating here because LeBron's always been in great shape. He's always played hard. He never had Shaq-itis, where he didn't play defense and he'd show up to training camp fat and coast his way through the season. LeBron always plays hard. I'll give him that. But he's also thin-skinned. He's also sensitive. He's also the biggest hypocrite in sports when it comes to communist China, when he considers himself a social justice warrior and a human rights champion. So we'll see. Could this be that LeBron's sending a little bit of message to the organization? I didn't get my extension I wanted. I wanted a two-year extension. You're saying no? Maybe you don't really want me here. Maybe I'll develop a little sciatica here, and I'll be out at least till November 18th, and maybe longer. This is really strange that this happened when he didn't get his extension, isn't it? I smell a rat here. Now, I could be wrong, but I smell a rat when it comes to LeBron. Now, as far as the Lakers go this year, DeAndre Ayton's never really done it for me. He doesn't have a good motor. He doesn't play hard. That's always been the rap on him. And yeah, he always puts up good numbers, and he averaged 16 and 10 last year, and he's a double-double guy throughout his career. And, with all I'm going to say about Ayton, he's an upgrade from Jackson Hayes, so they're better at center than they were last year. And Marcus Smart is a guy who's been injured a lot the last couple of years. He's 31 years old, but he's always been a very good, hard-nosed defender, which is what the Lakers were lacking last year. The Lakers' backcourt defensively was a disaster last year. They're wing players. Austin Reeves can't stay in front of me. LeBron, at this point of his career, is not a good defender. And Luka, hopefully this changes now that Luka's lost all the way. Luka, as Chick Hearn used to say, Luka couldn't guard a table. Luka's the worst defensive player in the National Basketball Association. If you go by a stat, they have a stat called blow-bys in the NBA, where how many times the guy with the ball blows past you when you're guarding him. Guess who's led the league the last couple of years? That's right. A guy by the name of Luka Doncic, one of the great one-way players of all time. Zero defense, great offensive player. So, yeah, I think the Lakers will be, if they stay healthy, maybe a 4 or 5 seed out in the first or second round. That's going to be the future for the Lakers this year. But the question is, has LeBron played his last game with the Lakers? Is he butthurt about not getting his extension? Is he upset with the organization? Is he upset that Jeannie Buss is gone? Now, Jeannie Buss was close with LeBron. She was close with Rich Paul, his agent. And Rich Paul pretty much took over the organization for a couple of years. Was controlling the draft, was controlling free agent signings. That ridiculous manipulation they did when they traded for Anthony Davis when he played for the New Orleans Pelicans. Remember that one? The Lakers sort of lost a first-round draft choice for that. All of a sudden, AD signs with Rich Paul, LeBron's agent. Then all of a sudden he's demanding a trade. All of a sudden he's not happy in New Orleans. And he forced the trade to the Lakers. I won't go anywhere else. And boy, did they turn the screws on New Orleans Pelicans ownership, Rich Paul and Team LeBron. So they wind up trading him to the Lakers. And then he had a $5 million trade kicker that if he got traded, he was owed $5 million. He waived the trade kicker. And everybody was saying, oh boy, what a great guy Anthony Davis is. He's waiving $5 million because he wants to play for the Lakers and help the team. No, that's not what it was. Nobody's that stupid. I don't care how much money you have. If you got a free $5 million coming, you're going to take it. The reason he waived the $5 million trade kicker is because LeBron offered him a position as co-star and co-producer in Space Jam 2. So he made that $5 million and then some on that movie. That was illegal. That's against the NBA salary cap. That's against the rules. The Lakers should have been penalized and lost draft picks for that, and the trade should have been canceled. But when it comes to LeBron and Rich Paul, the NBA is a bunch of nutless pussies, and they're going to let them do whatever they want. So AD and Rich Paul and LeBron were able to manipulate a trade and get AD to the Lakers, and it should have never been allowed to happen. They circumvented the salary cap by giving him a starring role in Space Jam 2 and making him a co-producer. Why the hell do you think he waived his trade kicker? Because he's a nice guy? I don't care if you have $1 billion. If somebody says, here's your check for $5 million, you're not going to say no. For not doing anything, just a trade kicker. So no. That trade should have been null and void. So Jeannie was very close with Rich Paul, very close with LeBron, but those days are gone now that she sold the team. Now we'll see. I think new ownership is committed to not kissing LeBron's ass at 41 years old and not kissing Rich Paul's ass. And they're going to run the organization the way they see fit. And if you don't like it, LeBron, there's the door at the end of the year. And I think LeBron was butthurt. I think he was pissed off. I think he didn't like it. And I think he's maybe exaggerating this injury here till at least November 18th because he's upset with the way the organization is going. And for one time in his life, ownership didn't kiss his ass and give him what he wanted. I think that's what's going on here. All right, let's pay some bills here. Let's take a little break. Let's go to MTS Transportations and hear what they have to say. Dave Smith Unleashed brought to you by MTS Transportations. And mention the Dave Smith Unleashed podcast and get 20% off on your next shipment for all your shipping, trucking, and freight needs. There's only one business to call, and that's MTS Transportations at 800-640-6873. MTS Transportations, 800-640-6873. Thanks to MTS Transportations. We love them for our freight, shipping, and trucking needs, and 20% off if you mention Dave Smith Unleashed. Was anybody really excited about the start of the NBA season? I'm not. I used to be a huge National Basketball Association fan. Not anymore. I don't know if I watched the regular season game all year last year. You know, between load management and burst management and players sitting out games and refusing to play back-to-back, well, if the NBA doesn't care about 75% of the regular season, why should we? Why should we buy tickets? Why should we buy packages on television to watch out-of-market games? Why should we pay any attention to the regular season if they don't care about us? Well, no, it's not like back in the 80s, the Showtime Lakers, when I couldn't wait for every game. And back then, you know, the NBA players, they played hard during the regular season. They cared whether they won or lost. There was no such thing as load management. That bullshit. And now there's burst management. You know, the Pelicans had burst management with Zion Williamson. If you made a strong move to the basket, a burst, he automatically came out of the game. Burst management. When we had Rick Barry on the show, I told him about that, and he almost blew his stack. I said, I shouldn't have told him that. I think he might have a stroke while we're on the air. But it just isn't the same. I don't care about the NBA pretty much anymore. Regular season, of course not. With burst management and load management. Then all the woke stuff during COVID, come on. That turned off half your audience. Well, more than half, if you count, because, you know, the audience is 25 to 54-year-old men. We didn't want to see any of that nonsense. We wanted to watch basketball. So, okay, Lakers season opener tonight against the Golden State Warriors. I'm yawning. I'm not an NBA fan the way I used to be. And are you the same way? Let me know on my X account, on my Twitter account, at Dave Sportscode, of course, on the YouTube Dave Smith Unleashed page. Are you the same way? Do you not care about the National Basketball Association the way you used to? Remember, opening night used to be a big deal. But now LeBron's not playing. The Lakers look like they're not going to be very good. There's new ownership. Yeah. Okay, but one league that doesn't seem to suffer from the woke, politically correct nonsense is the NFL. The NFL seems to be indestructible. Now, ratings dipped a little bit when they did the woke stuff during COVID. All the stuff with the slogans in the end zone and the slogans on the back of the helmet. Of course, only politically correct slogans. They had a list of about 10 or 15 slogans that were allowed on helmets or in the back of the end zone. I remember one player, I don't know who it was. Was it one of the Bosa brothers, one of the conservatives in the NFL? One of them wanted to put back the blue, like in support of the police, in the back of their helmet, and it was not allowed by the NBA. So if you want to put back the blue, or how about support our troops? That wasn't allowed either. So if you want to support our military, our troops, or if you want to support our great law enforcement people, you're shit out of luck with NFL owners and or the NBA. You will only put politically correct woke slogans on your helmets or on your courts or in your end zones, or you won't use them at all. How dare you? How dare you want to say back the blue? Or we support our military. How dare you? That's what I mean. You know, I think that's more than 50% of the country would vehemently disagree with that. But the NFL, the last couple of years, the ratings have gone through the roof. They backed off a little bit on the woke stuff. They're still doing it, but I think the owners got the message loud and clear after a dip in the ratings a few years ago. Now the ratings have been breaking records the last 2 years. But here's one thing that really sticks in my craw that I wanted to talk about. When you watch college football on a Saturday, every single game on the board we can watch on television. We got CBS, ABC, NBC, Fox, ESPN, ESPN2, FS1. We got TBS. We've got the Big Ten Network, the SEC Network, the ACC Network that we all get. We can watch 50 games on a Saturday on a variety of different networks, and we never miss anything. That's the great thing about college football. But the NFL, those robber barons in the NFL, those pirates, those extortionists, those blackmailers who run the National Football League, well, no, you will not get to watch any game you want. You will pay if you want to see a game. And you will, like my mom used to say, you'll eat it and like it. When she'd serve me lima beans for dinner, you'll eat it and like it, and you will finish your plate. And she said, you'll finish your plate? There's people starving in China. And I said, well, send them this crap. Listen, I would always get a whipping when I said that. My mom, you will eat it, and you will like it, and you will clean your plate. It seems like my mother's running the National Football League now. It is such hypocrisy and such a ripoff and extortion and blackmail. When I turn my television set on a Sunday morning out here on the West Coast, I get one game at 10 a.m. and I get two at 1 p.m. Or I get two at 10 a.m. or 1 in the afternoon. You get 3 games. That's besides the Sunday night game. There's games going on all over the National Football League. There's 32 teams. We got 16 games. They show 3 of them. Well, you want to watch out-of-market games? Well, fork over $350, you plebes, you lowlifes, you maggots. Fork over $350 for NFL Sunday Ticket. Can you imagine? College football, we can watch it all for free. But the NFL, if you want to watch anything out of market, they want you to pay $350. You know what? I told them to go F themselves years ago. I used to... I don't know if I should say this on the air, but I used to have a trick every year where I could always get Sunday Ticket for free. What I would do is I would call DirecTV when it was on DirecTV. I'd call and threaten to cancel. And I'd make up something. Hey, I'm not getting the Dodgers out here in L.A. or even Mr. Laker. I'd make up something. Take me to the cancellation department. And they'd send me over there and they'd say, sir, what can we do to keep you as a customer? I said, well... maybe if you gave me a Sunday Ticket for free, okay, we'll do it. And they would always say yes. Every year we go through that whole song and dance. But now that it's on YouTube, they won't do that. So now it's either pay $350, and I will never give DirecTV or YouTube a dime for Sunday Ticket. If I can trick them into giving it to me for free, yes. But what a bunch of pirates. What a bunch of scoundrels. What a bunch of hypocrites. What a bunch of thieves. One game in the morning and 2 in the afternoon when there's 32 teams in the league. And if you want more, give us $350. It's a multi-billion-dollar league, and you signed, a $80 billion television contract, but it's not enough. It's not enough for you greedy felons. You want $350 from all of us to buy Sunday ticket. Well, screw you. I like college football better anyway. So what do you think? Are you excited about the NBA season coming up? I think a majority of the people are not, as the NBA has fallen off the cliff. It used to be NFL, college football, NBA, baseball. There's the big four in rating. Now it's NFL, college football, baseball. And the NBA is dropping like a rock. Well, again, if you don't care about me, if you're not going to give me a quality product, if you're going to have this load management, if you're going to take 75% of the season off, if you don't care about me, I don't care about you, NBA, and I ain't watching and I ain't paying. Same with you robber barons with NFL Sunday Ticket. So let me know what you think. Hit me up on Twitter, @DaveSportsGrid. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Do you think LeBron might be faking it or exaggerating a little bit because he's pissed off he didn't get his extension with this sciatica nonsense? Are you excited about the start of the Lakers in the NBA season? And do you agree with me that the NFL are a bunch of robber baron, pirate, scoundrels, thieves for this NFL Sunday Ticket nonsense? Let me know what you think on Twitter. Let me know what you think on the YouTube page, the Dave Smith Unleashed YouTube page. So comment, subscribe, share, all the good stuff. And we will talk to you next time right here on Dave Smith Unleashed.